Welcome everybody to the Ambassador Program Town Hall meeting number 47. It's May 9th, 2023. And we're joined by a nice group of 20 people. We're joined by Felix, by Kren, Fly, Tivosex, Alex, Asad Aka, aka Slate, Cameron Hill, Eric S, Esther, Grace, Judith, OAP, Steve, Roger, SingularityNet, which I think might be Ian, Slice Hill, Tommy Frey, and Vanessa. Great to see some new faces there, and great to see old faces there. Good stuff. Yeah, as per usual, I made a little outline, starting with a little recap of what we're even doing here in the first place. So we've been going for almost a year. Tomorrow we're locking in on 1 year of running the Ambassador Program. And what the Ambassador Program aims to do is to provide guidance for community members who want to contribute to the vision of SingularityNet, vision of growing towards a beneficial, decentralized AGI. And we do this by having a growing number of self-organized groups, work groups, where people can contribute on topics they are interested in joining in on. We'll get to the list of work groups shortly. Yeah, bottom line, if you're watching this on YouTube, for example, feel free to hop on the Discord server. And once you get there, check out the Getting Started channel. And then from there on, it will be a smooth ride into participation. And we, then get to the work groups we're having. And it's a growing list. I had to make some room on the sheet to fit it all in. There's a lot happening. And one of the main aims of the town hall meeting is to provide an overview of what's happening. So, yeah, I guess we can dive right in. The very first one, this is organized by the meetings throughout the week. The very first one right after this would be the Process Guild meeting. It takes place on Tuesdays, 19 UTC. And it's led by Tavo, which... can I ask you to provide a little update?
Yeah. So update on last week. We did. We looked through basically 3 items. Like okay, I see. So we have this backlog that like a lot of activities across all the different work groups we have. So we now, again, have put our eyes on that big list of ours and pick up the biggest priorities and looking like, have we completed already anything of these, like write the work group proposal, video work group structure, meta standard, and we had a bit of like a requirements list of what next, what are we missing there. So some new tasks evolved, and then we spent a good amount of time thinking about meeting summaries for each participation task. And participation tasks are these, what you see here also on the work groups, like process, good incubation workshop. Even this call where you're right now, when you join, we actually, what we want to do is recognize your participation and your contribution. And then when we have these discussions, like the main thing we want to now discover is like, what were the main agendas and summaries that we did share in these calls, so that if in future we have a bit nicer data bank, it will be easier for us to kind of figure out in what meeting happens what, and also leverage AI, large language models to kind of point us to these directions. Like, hey, Bill, you have been discussing these, you have been making these decisions, and based on your questions, we can already kind of give you answers instead of us really re-exploring the things we actually already knew like 1 year ago or 6 months ago. And sometimes I forget some decisions even in a few months. So yeah, this is a small start at just getting our own data in a better way. And it's let's see how it goes. Now we have started, we have been doing it for 1 week. And today we will go into a totally different agenda and look at proposal processes. How do we if ambassador program is a bit of innovation fund, how do people join and get their bigger ideas, not just small contributions into like a project, and then also offer that to ambassadors? Thank you. Hi, Grace.
I have a question. I like the idea of not repeating, like something that we knew from last year and using the information. Have you guys created like user flows? Like what would be the use case and then the user flow from beginning to end? So a person would join, they would make a proposal, they would type, or they would type in an idea and something would pop up to them. These are the times that like, do you have like that kind of a workflow so that that whatever you're producing would fit into that workflow?
There is these things happening, and actually we are kicking off a process modeling work group, which will actually focus on the details of these processes. But gotta be honest, we have been with the past few months a capacity problem and like other ideas popping up. Oh, well, we need treasury group, we need vitals work group. So we've been more of like setting it up, but not yet establishing processes, and more like already operationally doing it. Like, okay, we have this, and then we with these task contributions and these reports we do ourselves and kind of share. We are building the process. Okay, we always prepare meetings when we do this. We always need to facilitate. Now we need to also do the meeting summary. So that all goes into kind of a background knowledge to know when you do a proposal and you want to bring an idea through. Like, I want to educate people on these specific things, and what are also requirements from ambassador side to kind of capture it. So yeah, I will say that this will come, and if you join and you like to do also these things, there will be a higher chance to get down to this exact processes. Because another thing what happens is we're making quite emergent decisions. So these people who are in call, we have this bunch of agendas, which path they go down to, and it sometimes may not end up process mapping in process code.
I'm asking this, and I think it's relevant to all the work groups, like, because how do you know you're collecting the right data and categorizing it correctly if you don't know how it's going to be used? And it's true for everybody. Like, I just think there needs to be one use case, because I've seen specifically like the kind of data that you're collecting. I've seen those efforts in many DAOs over the last 2 years of collecting data, tagging videos, collecting this collective knowledge, but I have never seen somebody use it. And that's like it's very specific, right? And we can review what happened last week, and then it's like, okay, great, it's up there. Do you have records of how many people accessed it? Because the success of what you're doing will be in the usage of it, not in the collection of it. And like I said, it's not just for you, it's for like all the work groups. Like, it's like there doesn't have to be, but it's very hard to know if you're accomplishing your goal if you don't know how many people, like, for example, access that Git book and how much time they spent there. That's all.
Well, if you want me to answer that for now. Well, for KPIs, we don't have yet the lens implemented. We are because we're already doing stuff and working towards building that, and we also write down how do we even get that. It will come, and definitely like KPI is in my mind, it's like a level 3 or level 7 a chapter to kind of work on. But first we had what is the solution we are driving for. But it's funny, yeah, we haven't really written it down in a way, but we have discussed it. We have kind of set plans, our work groups and discussion flows, and the way we work is towards these solutions. But you're right, we haven't written it down and in a process way, how do we got to that place. But I would say we're pretty aligned to kind of make it useful, and we do retrospect, not just few weeks behind, but a full program. Are we going to right directions? And interesting, what we have also able to leverage is that we're not doing these kinds of experiments, not just in SingularityNet, but different networks, which is like totally different people doing different things, different purposes, but using the same like contribution collection mechanisms. We'll be able to kind of see again like correlations and have like a deeper look on what as a humans we actually do, not as a like a node in a program.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that answer.
But yeah, I would actually, if you are around after this town hall, we start the process guild, and there we will have actually a process discussion for the proposal roadmap. So if you like this and you have a high expertise, you may like to join us.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, connected to that, I do think something which also is relevant is like gathering all these data. Like there's the deep funding proposal on like building training an LLM on everything done within I think mostly focused on Swarm, but also Singularity Swarm, Cardano, Catalyst Swarm. I'm not sure exactly where the vision is there. So it also does feed into that.
It's actually not Swarm, it's mostly SingularityNet and Cardano.
Fair, thanks. All right. Yeah, thanks, Tefo. Moving on, we get to the incubation workshop, which takes place at Wednesdays 19. Who's in the house?
Yeah, I can go for it.
There we go.
Yoo-hoo. Let me just post the slides in the chat for you guys. Yeah, we had a great meeting in incubation, and that kind of merged into strategy for a 2-hour meeting. So I'll just, for simplicity, as things went into the other, I'll just sum up both. We discussed the direction of incubation work group, AI tools budget, and new ambassadors. We suggested using a paid account for the AI community tools. Stephen mentioned the possibility of cost implications. We discussed pros and cons of using open source versus closed source tools and having multiple accounts for different purposes. Also a sign-up form for community members to propose ideas for the incubation meetings in the future. So we kind of start incubating different parts of the ambassador program, new work groups as they arise. Proposed a cap of $200 for AI tools per month, $200 per month, which was okayed with a vote with everyone in the meeting. So then after that, we discussed work group leads and rewards. Tommy suggested a verbal vote to elevate the 4 people to the ambassador role, which was agreed on by the group. We talked about possible anonymous voting in the future and went with a verbal vote during this, in which, yeah, all 4 possible ambassadors were voted in. Yeah, that was pretty much it. We discussed a little bit about the process of becoming an ambassador and the need for transparency. This incubation work group, we will be just discussing a few things, including Stephen Q.A.'s proposal for a new work group and incubating that as an idea, as a proposal. Everyone's more than welcome to come along. Incubation is very much a workshop to open source ideas and wisdom from the community. So everyone is welcome, even if you haven't come before. Yeah, nice, and see you then.
Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, it's been really fruitful sessions. And then we're always a little bit short on time because right after that, we move over to the Strategy Guild. Tommy, could you provide a little update there?
Well, I don't have much to report for last week on the Strategy Guild because the depth and importance of the topics that came up at incubation needed to be worked through. So incubation essentially took over the Strategy Guild meeting, which was going to be which was going to be a two-part meeting, one on how to organize and run meetings, including agendas. And then the second, which has taken up the last week or two and will, I think, take up the next couple of weeks of the Strategy Guild, is the document on governance. We've been tearing it apart, taking it apart, debating, talking about it. And we're going to continue it tomorrow. And I would ask Felix, who was the initial author on this living document, to, if I'm not available, I'm traveling tomorrow, I think I'll be in place. But Felix, just in case I am not in place, if you could host the Strategy Guild meeting and delve into the governance document and figure out how to tear it apart, how to digest it, and how to edit it through completion eventually. And that's kind of where Strategy Guild is at the moment.
Thanks a lot. That actually makes me wonder, like this section of a meeting about the meetings and agenda setting and stuff like that, is that still for short term on the agenda?
If I run it tomorrow, yes. If Felix would like to tackle that, if I cannot, yes. I have documents that I put up last week on how I would and used to run meetings in corporate America. And then I have a secondary, and that's an uneditable document. Then there is a second document that I posted for editing, which is best practices of how to run a virtual meeting. Since these type of meetings, Zoom and Discord, etc., has changed the landscape. So I'd like to, in Strategy Guild, craft out the best way to run a virtual meeting, including like we're using Read AI. How do you clue Read AI in so it can properly chapterize or label what it is that you're talking about on your agenda? It's also part of the document is how to set an agenda and why it's important. So it should be on tomorrow's agenda. I think I will be in place in Costa Rica in my hotel and with wire, whatever it is, internet to run the meeting. But just in case is why I asked Felix to be prepared. So yes, Peter, thank you for asking.
Well, looking forward. At the same time, it makes sense that every now and then there's just urgent topics which need, which earn priority, let's say. All right. Well, on with the list, which would bring us to Treasury Guild, which has meetings on Thursdays at 15:30. Tefo, can I ask you again?
Yeah, sure. So Treasury Guild, last time we continued to discuss about contribution management and treasury fees. And I just realized with the summaries that actually we are doing on summer. So if I read our activities, we basically our two questions we had, like, are activity lists correctly submitted? And what can and should be recorded? So we were like doubling down on like getting the monthly rewards getting done. And so we did that actually today on Ambassador work group. So we actually set up a new work group to even go in even depth to get this done and get it correctly recorded and understand how we do it, and so it doesn't take too much time. And now what it allowed us to do is that in this treasury guild call, we're actually going to look multiple proposals. Right now I have 4 in prepared, but just on Thursday I will, in the morning I will check more proposals. So if people are preparing work groups or some ideas they want to take in, and even if including we could do tasks to like somebody, but mainly we'll be looking like bundle of projects that take longer times of time. It has a bit of a roadmap, and just see can we fit it into the budget, and how we'll do it, or do we plan some workshop first and then some after. Like we're basically going to discuss what is our capabilities, and if we can do all this, fund all of these activities, what all the ambassadors want to achieve in the program.
Good stuff. So yeah, that's Thursdays at 15:30 UTC, and somehow the order of this slide doesn't make sense, because 2.5 hours before that actually is the AI sandbox session led by Felix and David. Felix, can I put you on the spot and ask for a little outline, little recap?
No. It's good to recaps and intros and stuff. Thank you. No. Yeah, last AI sandbox was, I think last. Yes, where we once again into introducing some tools, mostly this time focused on GPT-4 as an LLM, as we saw this is definitely the most used tool so far. And the thing evolves now, step by step, and somehow starts to develop its own format. And really these workshops where actually community comes together, teach each other on specific tools. Might relate a lot into educational workgroup guild, which is coming up right now. And the next AI sandbox will take place on this Thursday it's on the community calendar already. It's this Thursday at 1300 UTC. Yes, exactly. And what we'll do there exactly, Fly, is this clear already? No, it's not clear yet, I would say.
No,
Mostly,
yeah. But it will be by Thursday.
It will be. So guys, it's not clear yet, but it will be. Good time then. But most likely catching up there where we stopped last time. So mostly LLMs, getting people on board and trained there already.
To play. We're there to play. Come play.
So, cool. Then this list is so crazy long, but we're getting halfway in. That brings us to the Friday, where it, the order here is also messed up. But also, in my defense, the timings changed. We would start out on Friday with the video work group at 13 UTC. Rojo.
Yeah. Can I share my screen?
I hear you. Please, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little update.
Can I share my screen? Thank you. Okay. All right. So, last week, well, first I would like to get a recap, some data on how is our video social media side is doing for the Ambassador World Group, and here are some numbers. Well, we had it's all green, thankfully. So we had like a 5% increase in terms of posts, 10 in subs, and 13 views. That's for YouTube. Similar numbers, pretty good numbers to be honest for this week, and no need to go through all of them, but we have been seeing some good increase in numbers and interactions around our video social media. The work group members, so far we have 11 work group members and we have produced 8. Last week we didn't have any proposals for, so basically nothing was produced last week because most of the projects that are being worked on are still a work in progress, and perhaps this week we will have a couple of proposals to be discussed. Also, to be added, so last week we talked a little bit about some topics for the work group. So we have decided to remove the role of interns. So we have no interns anymore. We just, yeah, the term wasn't really fitting our Web3 kind of and decentralized kind of environment that we're in. And we have decided that if a person wants to join the work group, well, they will have to submit basically to a task. So we will be releasing a task, and we already have some tasks that are up on the work. And if you submit and your submission gets accepted, you're automatically a video work group member. And yeah, in the light of what I said, well, I strongly encourage anyone here to submit to the tasks that are there. We have 2 tasks mainly, actually 3 tasks. One of them is looking at the structure document. So if you look at the structure document and submit a valid edit, you will get 10 USD and also you become a work group member. You can also, there is a making clips, so you can make clips, which we reward as 10 USD each. And there is a quarterly update video to be made as well. There's already a member working on it, but if you're interested in working on it, you're strongly welcome to do so. We have also talked about tapping into voting mechanisms. Mainly, we're looking at Summon platform, and we're looking at this week. We're looking at implementing it this week, if not next week. But yeah, basically in this time frame, we will start implementing voting using tokens and all these things.
Voting for what? What are you voting for?
So basically what we vote for is for whenever we have someone basically submit their project or submit their video, we discuss that video and we discuss the pros and cons of it. And in case we think it is fit to go through a vote, because we might say, well, can you edit it and then we can vote for it. But if we think it's fit for a vote, then we just vote for it, basically. Will it be accepted or not? And if it's accepted, well, it's rewarded and then posted in our social media. Does that answer your question, Grace?
Yes.
Thank you. Also, we vote for changes in the work group, obviously. Yeah. If there is something to be changed, we vote for
I mean, you have 11 people.
Yep.
So I'm not, like, it's not clear to me that you need technology for voting.
Well, we don't want, as Steven puts it, and it has been noticed that people do change their opinions from private to public. So we have voted for a couple of things before, and then people do change their opinions about them later. Or maybe they forget what they vote for. So we would like to make it somehow on-chain. And we basically want to archive what we vote for, and we want to make it anonymous so that nobody is pushed to decide something they don't want to decide.
And how do you do it anonymously on-chain?
Well, it's not completely on-chain. It's basically we will be having to go. I mean, I'm going to be technical, but we'll have some tokens that will be distributed to members, and then the on-chain part is basically taking a snapshot of the wallets that have the certain token, and then the other part, which is the voting, is not done on-chain. So it's not an Agora voting; it's just a snapshot voting.
And do people have the right to abstain anonymously?
For sure, yeah. That's one of the options. Yes, no, and I don't care, or I don't want to vote.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I guess that resumes whatever is whatever has happened and whatever is gonna be happening, hopefully. yeah, I look forward to personally and all the work group members. I'm sure to basically get some submissions, and if anyone is interested in video, I strongly recommend you to join us. We're the most prestigious work group in the ambassador program, and yeah, looking forward to see new people basically. Thank you.
And thank you. Hopping back to the slide. Yeah, so on Fridays after the video work group, there's the writers work group. I think I saw Kenichi join. Yes, I did. Kenichi, can you give us a little update on the writers work group?
Can you hear me?
Yes, somewhat.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm a bit under the weather today. But yeah, the update from writers work group will be a bit short. Sorry about that. I'll probably drafted in more concise update later. So our first article is up on Medium. I think I put that up yesterday, and also we attached to that is the full interview of one of our ambassadors. That will be Rojo. It's up on Twitter too. Today we were supposed to release another article from the Nunet testnet alpha release, and that's probably because of like the way I'm feeling right now. I don't want to just release anything super or something that might have editing, that might need edits, So I'll be releasing that tomorrow, and after that, yes, our Cogito protocol review is almost done. Just needs a few, I think, edits there, and yep, that'll be coming out too. Probably when I'm feeling better, they'll be coming out. And so technically that's all. We have a few tasks on D-Work to announce Supreme Spice as our first female ambassador. I think Slate is interested in that. He already applied. I'll be assigning him probably after this call. Also, we have okay, I think Mikasa. Yes, Mikasa applied for the Sophia DAO Sophia verse article, and yeah, those two are in progress technically. So that's our update technically, and I think before Friday we'll have more, more concise information about how everything is going, and we'll be posting them as soon as they're ready and as soon as they've been edited and error-free. So technically, that's the update from me.
Thanks a lot. Great stuff, and good to see the blog online. Slate.
I wanted to ask Kenichi, when the first article which was out on the Medium, I wanted to ask who wrote that article, which work group members were involved in writing of that article.
Slate, are you talking about the first article?
Yes.
The first article was written by Mikasa, and I edited it. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys use AI editing tools? Just asking.
I have Grammarly installed on my PC, or I've been writing for quite some time, so I just use prior experience, and of course Grammarly helps too. Yeah.
Thanks. Just curious because this is we're talking about AI.
All right. That brings us to the Marketing Guild meeting. Kren, are you on? You are. Could you provide a little update?
Yeah, definitely. In marketing, the discussion did a dive into rewarding writers with a light discussion on rewarding editors, as there's still open questions within the writers work group. We touched on onboarding, which had their first meeting last week. Finding content creators within the email list to get these work groups populated could be a solid way forward. We ended the meeting hashing out the social media posts for the week. I'll talk about it this Friday, but I think it would be best for Marketing Guild to move towards meeting bi-weekly moving forward, and I'll see what everyone thinks about that. The work groups seem well established for writers and video, and I think that extra hour on those off weeks could be well utilized elsewhere. There's plenty of room for people to step up within video and writers work group. There's plenty of space for community members to bring up ideas for areas like graphic design and social media. A bi-weekly meeting could allow time for these ideas to bubble up and for work groups to have a space to collaborate and update each other. We can discuss and come to some conclusions this week in Marketing Guild, which will meet at 15 UTC, after video, which meets at 13 UTC, and writers at 14 UTC.
Thanks a lot.
Can I ask the same question to you? Sorry. Like, to what degree are you guys developing the marketing department to be the leaders in using AI tools for marketing? Because again, I'm in a, like, I've been working as a writer for a long time. There is no writing work anymore. It's gone. It disappeared.
I totally agree.
And,
oh, sorry to interrupt. Yeah,
I just think that's a really great use of the ambassador program, is to train up people on these tools.
This is exactly how Cran, I, and a few others feel in the ambassador program. And it's things that we've identified that before there wasn't the capacity to have multiple work groups on these more specialist subjects of onboarding ourselves and community onto AI tools. Although people were doing it kind of individually, it's only now that we've been able to kind of aggregate between us. There's enough like ambassadors to kind of share the load so that we can go into these specialisms, like with the AI sandbox, which definitely I hope is where we're really driving towards.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Fly and Felix have been hosting an AI sandbox on Thursdays. So far, I think it's been bi-weekly, and we could definitely utilize way more workshops like that. And I mean, the tide's turning for all these various parts of humanity towards AI. And it's a hard discussion sometimes because, you know, if somebody spends a high amount of hours creating some form of content and you know that there's an AI solution, it's kind of a tough conversation to have in this transitioning period where it's like, well, I mean, it's good that you can do that, but also humanity now has tools that can do it in a much smaller percent of time. And it's been a hard conversation to have, but I think pivoting that way, and I found Marketing Guild to become kind of a redundant conversation every week. So that's also why I want to make it bi-weekly, so I can have more time to where we can have these workshops to explore AI tools and really dive into that. So great question.
Could I make a comment on that? Like, I don't want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So it's a hard conversation because we're nice, but you know, in companies, 85% of the writers just get laid off. And that's not a hard conversation. I mean, obviously for the people who have to fire their workers, it's unpleasant, but it's over really quick. It doesn't return every week. And really you'd be doing everybody a favor to train them in these tools, because anybody like me who used to make a living writing stuff is out of the writing job and like right now I'm doing a lot of thinking and thought leadership pieces, but you can bet I'm training myself on these tools to do the actual, or you know, like the bulk of the writing. And anybody who's in the writing field who's not doing that, like, you're not really doing them a favor. And I've watched DAOs for 4 or 5 years now, and one of the things that is a disease that we get in these organizations is we've got a small budget that doesn't go very far. So we waste a lot of time talking about it in order to not have to worry about paying it out. And then we're kind of become this thing where we pay people token amounts to do things that didn't need to be done in this case, or, you know, like, or did need to be done, but we try to do them occasionally so we don't use our budget. And it's just not it's like a really common unhealthy pattern. And I would just, anything that's a hard conversation falls into the pattern of we're trying to waste time so we don't have to spend our budget. And so I just would warn you and everybody around those conversations that are taking too long. And also even like reports and just like status updates, those can be done on Slack or Discord, whatever you use. And then the meetings should have some topic that really needs discussion. And I'm sure that that's what, I can't remember who was talking about these, how you create meetings in corporate, but like, that's how you create meetings. Like the status is done in a way that it's like everybody tell you your blockers or your highest achievements, not like just status updates, because that can be done other ways. So yeah, the every 2 weeks makes sense. And, having a conversation that has to be had once would be really great. Most human beings don't do that. So it's not an accusation. All right, that's all.
Grace, it would be great if you would join strategy tomorrow if we get to the agenda, since you seem to be an expert at that. Your input would be greatly welcomed on how to set up an agenda and run a meeting. Thank you.
I'll take a look at that, and I can send you some materials that would be really super helpful as well if I can't make it.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your contributions. At the same time, I do kind of feel with a meeting like the current one, which in a way, like time-wise, to have like the full hour allocated to status updates, which is currently what it's shaping up to be. But that's, in a way, it's an artifact of the growing number of work groups. So I think going forward, we'll have to put like maybe turn it into like a maximum 2 minutes per. So you really get to just the important stuff, and then also allowing for more discussions. I think that's very accurate. But it's something that's grown over time. When we had like 3 work groups, then we would be done in 10 minutes with the extensive updates. And now we find ourselves 40-50 minutes in, and there's still a couple more to go. So yeah, that's great feedback.
My question would be for Grace and Alex. Has this session helped you to kind of learn what ambassadors do? And does it feel like a down hall is place to share this information? Or how would you shape it to be more friendlier? Because that's another experiment. Like if this we're going through workshops giving high level of what's happening in different areas of what people in the call are doing here. In weekly cases, if it's interesting, then it doesn't mean we are wasting time, because we like giving the community the update what is like happening all the time, and these people then can spend 1 hour to basically catch up with 1 week of full work of many people. Well, not really that deeply to catch up, but still, I think there is a value in that, which is, the impact is hard to understand. But yeah, how do Grace feel about it, or Alex, or any of who are new and not contributing?
Can you ask the specific question? Like, I'm happy to answer. I just want to be really like, what is the question specifically?
So, for example, this session, how has it felt? Like, is it valuable, like the way we are sharing high levels of this process code, and introducing?
What it does for me is that, it gives me a sense of it gives me a sense of where the DAO is. But like, I found it interesting, for example, like the strategy group does process and the process group does knowledge management. That was interesting to me, that there's these names of the groups that aren't what you guys are doing. So I thought that was interesting. there's I would say that there's a little bit of nice-itis going on, like people being really nice, and yeah, that's what I feel. I don't know. That's it.
I'd like to.
Oh, go ahead.
A very small thing, Grace. You referred to this group as a DAO. That I thought that was interesting. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I don't know if it's exactly a DAO, but it operates a little bit. It operates like every DAO that I've seen that gets like a grant program from somebody else and then tries to distribute the money in a nice way. And then some of you guys have more voting or less voting, but yeah, it operates pretty much like most of the DAOs that I know that have gotten some allocation of money and they're trying to give it out. Maybe it's not exactly the same as a multi-sig, but
Yeah, we're moving
yeah.
there.
And I see you guys want to finish your update.
Well,
No, these are great, like really great insights, honestly, and we need so much help in various areas, including organization and how to set things up. So your insight is highly valuable.
Hopefully it is.
Yeah. I don't want to be too hard on it because I'm just getting to know it, but I feel like there is a lack of like clarity about the purpose and the OKRs and the, and it may be just because you're getting started, like, what is the actual purpose of the ambassador program is a little bit vague to me. Like, it's like, okay, we want to improve, like we want to increase the ecosystem, right? It's not super clear. And the way that the purpose was stated was something like, I'm going to say it in like very colloquial language, like when I read the purpose, what it said to me was something like, there's people who are interested in what we're doing at Singularity NFT. We want to like give them some incentive to hang out with us.
Well, sponsoring pastime activities is not really the aim. Like, come and hang. Well, a part of it is meeting like-minded people. But I would say the focus would be on spreading the word rather than chilling.
Why? I know that's crazy, but it's like, why spread the word?
The mission deserves to be spread wider. Broadly speaking, the importance of decentralized AGI, that's, promoting that concept, that would be the why, I feel.
Okay, then it should be all marketing. Like nothing else would really be important in that case.
Well, there's connected stuff like the talk on the AI sandbox and the tooling and getting teaching people about that kind of tools. That's very connected to me. I wouldn't restrict it to purely marketing, and this is just like me saying it. It's not like by definition it has to be all about spreading the word. That's not the case, but that's already a bit more active than come hang with us, let's say.
I think it's fair also to say, actually, Christ, to a question nobody here can actually really correctly respond because the answer is built as we speak. And in the best case, the question would always be relevant. The answers would be different over time as we evolve. Because as it stands right now, there's simply a bunch of group of people who came together to say, hey, let's engage, let's collaborate to build up some own structure already for the ambassadors program and all, and let's build up the whole thing while knowing that most of the tools we need, we don't have yet, and most of the questions we ask ourselves, we don't have the answers yet, and rather looking on what are the most important answers actually. Providing questions and spreading the word would be, I think, from my perspective, in the best case, a natural outcome, but definitely not a major priority. Because spreading the word through what? Through content, through a contributor? Well, I give much more shit about a contributor who knows very well about it, whatever, than some, let's say, 2,000 YouTube videos who try to boost, hey, HAX price to the fucking moon. Like, no, that's not the message, right? So, but more looking, I think, on natural emerging outcomes a little bit.
Maybe this is like a deeper conversation, you know, because it's gonna, I'm reading what Kran said, like, and obviously that's somebody from within. But the fact that you guys are operating without any kinds of KPIs or OKRs is a pretty good symptom of what he's pointing out about niceness. And maybe it'll emerge, but you said this is meeting number 47, so maybe it might not emerge.
You see, because there emerged a lot of stuff already. In the beginning, there have been 4 people. Now we have 4 guilds and 5 war groups with a bunch of people. We have shitload of structure, and actually, we have structure, which we didn't have in the beginning, I would say. Still, if it's not done, definitely. But yeah, I would strongly object to this perspective, actually. Not kindly.
I
think,
appreciate you saying that. I really appreciate you saying that you strongly object. It's like, it's the level of honesty that's required.
I think
Well, and same goes for your feedback. That's also highly appreciated. Sorry, I was interrupting.
yeah, no, I was just gonna short comment, but you know, like personal experience from, I think, being at the first meeting, and it's been a really interesting experience of seeing how something is naturally emerging from sort of this decentralized perspective, and how things have picked up pace just since December, January has been pretty amazing from the first year. But yeah, I don't know. That was just kind of, yeah, my observing. Yeah.
One thing I can speak to in terms of what Grace was saying about the meetings. One of the things that I deal with on a regular basis is the teacher meetings, and most of the time they are run really inefficiently. And I sit there and I'm bored, and I say, what is the what is the solution to this problem? Or what are we trying, like, if everybody's brainstorming and we're making it efficient and coming up with like, I don't know, solutions to problems or something like that. And so I'm very sensitive to that. If I'm in a meeting and it's not being run efficiently, I just start to just be like, I don't know, it's hard for me. And I would say, like, in most of these meetings, it's kind of mid-range, I would say. Sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like, what's the problem? What's the solution? Can we brainstorm a solution of some kind? And that's what I appreciate. I'm not saying one way or the other, like, should be this, should be that. I'm just saying, like, I just want to throw that in there. That's what I appreciate about a meeting. It's just sort of directness, and here's our problem, here's our solution, let's talk about it. And in talking about it, it's not fluff. It's just brainstorming, what are our solutions, what makes the most sense, and then move on. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing. And I do agree. Yeah, just looking at the clock, I mean, we didn't cover all the status updates yet, even. So there definitely needs to be some change in the structure and time allocations to these. Yeah, for this town hall. That's just yeah, feedback taken. However, also looking at the clock, I do want to move on a little bit. I guess in a way, as Tommy mentioned, the process meeting on Wednesdays would be a good location for not process, strategy meetings. Would be a good place for yeah, having this deeper discussion. All right. with the fries not being in the room, let me quickly check if that's still accurate. Tommy, can I perhaps ask you to do like a mini update on the? That's also a bit shitty. Like now I feel inclined to the remaining work groups to please keep your contribution short, which
I will be really short since the time has been kidnapped and the agenda has been blown out the window. And I am a big proponent on following agendas and being respectful to it. So the educational meeting, the first one was held last week. Kevin is the lead on that. There were a number of people that were involved. And Kevin's concept is to be safe and inclusive in the educational and all meeting rooms. The first topic was brought up was Haley's video on inclusion, which was posted in the work group. The second was Vanessa's request. Unfortunately, she didn't get an opportunity to speak on her desire and planning for a safe space for everybody. Eric backed up and spoke on that. Ubio spoke on that. Rojo spoke on that. So that apparently, I apologize, that apparently is a big concept, safe space in meetings. The third thing that came up was Rojo got a grant from Cardano and is going to be doing a workshop on SIP 1694. That was discussed. And really the last thing, and this was brought up by Alex and Rojo and a few of us, is about making learning fun, having a contest on learning that can be fun, tested, and rewarded in some way. So people want to come learn different topics in a safe, inclusive environment. And we talked about deep funding a little bit and putting in a proposal. That really is a quick update on the first formal educational workshop run by D. Fries.
thanks a lot for that. Yeah, so that took place on Mondays night in UTC. Then yeah, the archival workgroup doesn't have a meeting slot currently. But Stephen, if you want, I would like to give you the opportunity to give a somewhat concise update.
Steven has left because of well,
Fine.
because of what happened.
As in, because of what?
Well, I guess, I mean, everyone can look at the chat, but yeah.
Yeah, fair. I see him mentioning that feedback and discussion be better. Fair point, and also agreed with. He did conclude that there was no space for his update, which I don't agree with, but okay, that's a conclusion then. Right.
I can take it away with broadcast. Just posting the slides in the chat for you here. Broadcast met yesterday. This was the second time we met. It was an ideation on the broadcasting styles. That's more of a preparation style and a guerrilla style of content. We discussed different platforms we could use and workflows. You can check out the slide deck for like a comprehensive list of the notes, but basically we discussed the different platforms, what is necessary for different types of content, 24 hours 7 streaming, or just streaming, Twitter Spaces or Twitch, recorded content. We did some playing around with ChatGPT 4 to get some information on live broadcasting time zones, what's necessary for setting up streaming, and alternative platforms which are more decentralized, kind of ideologically important for what we're trying to create. Yeah, it was a great meeting. Thanks. Thanks
a lot. All right. Well, then a final reminder for if you haven't added it yet to your calendar, there's a public calendar. I think I'll simply keep it very short from here and move towards wrapping up. Once again, noting that agenda management of this meeting was my bad and not optimal at all. I feel especially bad that Stephen concluded there was no room for his update, which is not the case. But I'll talk to him. I do want to point out that coming Thursday at 19 UTC, there's a town hall session on the Supervisory Council, where we hope to discuss the current proposals that have been put onto the Sway platform. And I did want to put out a link to the Ambassador 1 year blog that has been put out by the Writers Guild mentioned earlier. And a quick teaser on some sessions from where ecosystem spin-offs, which are in the process of launching their token and actually spinning off from SingularityNet Foundation. A couple of sessions will be incoming next week. I don't have exact dates yet, but hope to finalize that shortly. I think that's all from my side. Yeah, let's have a check. Anybody has some contributions to make to this meeting before we wrap up and move over to Process Guild?
I think randomizing the agenda items could maybe help with the subtle mind. Sometimes I don't have to talk at all. I mean, the process good.
Yeah, fair.
But shall we then switch Zooms, or we simply, because I'm not sure how many new people would join if I
Want to have a separate recording on Read AI? It's better to switch actually. So we have two separate recordings.
Well, that not only that, but if you have a different agenda, if people come in for process, they're going to be locked out because it'll say the host already has another thing going.
True. Let's go over that.
All right, then thank you all for attending this one, and hope to see you in the Process Guild meeting.